I finally made my first VTuber model. It's not perfect, it's only a bust up model for now, but I learned a lot. If you're planning to make your own model, here's my experience. So let me take you through my process, the mistakes I made, and what I would do differently. There are basically three stages to making a VTuber model: designing the model, painting and cutting, and finally rigging. I decided to make a VTuber model for my OC Azriel, and this is the concept that I came up with for her. She is like an angel with a celestial thing going on, with wings, purple hair, and those small wings on her head. Someone who can give the divine judgment. I'm still not straight with her story. Anyways, so I sketched the rough model using the symmetry tool in Procreate, and I decided to make the full body model sketch. I really like the idea of wings on a character, and they add so much to the expressiveness of the character. The main idea at this point is to lay out all the details of the model, though roughly, but having all the colors I need so I can just color pick from the sketch while painting in the upcoming stage. When designing the model, take care to have the color display mode set at RGB because Live 2D is compatible with that and your colors will look more accurate. Painting and cutting. This part can get really crazy, with you ending up having too many layers. In this stage, you fully render and paint your model like how the final output would look, but not like how you normally do your painting. You have to paint or separate the layers in such a manner that all the moving parts are on their own separate layers. For example, for the eye, we have to separate the eyebrow, the eyelid, lower eyelid, iris, pupil, highlights. They are all on separate layers. Since I am a noob and I don't know anything about painting for rigging, so I started researching. I found Merrily Ufe, who even has a free PSD file with all the layer separation, and I referred to it heavily while painting my model. And I also looked up more tutorials for the same. I only want a basic model for now, bust up only so that I can get started with live streaming and using this model in my YouTube videos. I'm not looking to make something amazing, something that will blow your mind. I am only here to learn. While painting, I mostly just color pick from the sketch and paint in a more refined and rendered manner. The two biggest challenges I faced in this stage were painting the hair and the chest area. Since the hair I'm drawing is painterly looking, so it's very hard to plan the layer separation ahead, so I decided to first paint the hair fully and then cut it up into parts. And the second challenge I faced while painting was the chest area. I'm very bad at painting the skin, so after trying to figure it out on my own and failing at that, I used this reference. It really helped me and I modified it to my liking. At the end of this stage, here is how my layer separation looks. I have so many layers. Now comes the hardest and the most time-consuming part of making a VTuber model. And when you first export your VTuber model to Live 2D, it looks something like this. First order of business, clipping the layers, changing layer modes from normal to add or multiply wherever applicable, and adding draw order. Clipping is basically how the clipping mask function works, in which you choose which part is to stay inside of which part. For example, the face shadow needs to stay inside of the face base. So I click on the face shadow, select this button, and then check mark the face base. When I do this, the face shadow will not go outside of the face base, and I do this with many more parts. And about the draw order, it basically signifies which parts lie on top of which parts. And I just did it because one of the tutorials told me to do it. The other important thing to take care of is the meshing. Meshing is basically points on your different parts which allows for its movement and deformation. Ensure that you have a neat mesh, give a heavier mesh wherever more movement is needed, or even manually mesh it if you are not satisfied with the automatically generated one. I started with rigging the eyes. So, how rigging basically works is that you give keyforms and make a movement at the different keyforms, and Live 2D will animate the in betweens for you. And there are various ways through which you can add the movement. One of the ways is using a warp deformer. I use the brush tool on the warp deformer to get the desired effect. I closely followed the tutorials and made different movements for the eyes, like eyes closing, eyes smiling, the movement of the iris, etc. I completed one eye and then reflected it, and then I realized that my eyes, they don't look symmetrical, and I didn't even know where the problem happened. And after trying a lot and manually trying to fix everything a couple of times, I got somewhat of a satisfactory result and I just went with it. I mostly just followed the tutorial blindly and somehow ended up with a working eye. I still don't know how it happened. And the next part was the hardest of them all, doing the face angles. This was honestly my breaking point. I redid it 3 times because something always looked off. While adding deformers, the first thing to take care of is to ensure that they are centered. So when you reflect it, it doesn't look off. I messed up way too many times to learn this the hard way. While doing the head XY, I deselected the wings as well as the side bangs. I don't really know how I will do it, but I hope to figure it out as I go. But there was still a huge problem. My eyes still weren't symmetrical. And after again wasting a lot of time here, I decided to reflect my original eye again, and then the issue was magically solved. Then I just continued with doing the various face angles. I made separate deformers for the different parts of the face, like the nose, the mouth, the eyes, the bangs at the front to fix them to fit the head turn better. I also did the back hair to go along with the face movements. And you can see the difference here, before fixing and after fixing. I don't know if this will work out or not, but remember how I removed visibility of my side bangs and wings and didn't add them to my deformers, thinking that I'll do it later? I decided to try putting the side bangs in the hair front deformer to see if it will work, and it works. Next, I finished with doing the mouth forms. This is what will show when my model speaks. And now it's the more fun part, adding physics. I started with the hair physics. Physics is basically how the different parts of the body will move when I move. If they will jiggle or sway, how jiggly the jiggle should be, for how long and how much intensity, etc. Here's me adding physics to the various parts. First the eyes and then the hair. I wasn't sure if I overdid the physics, but I actually like how it turned out. I also added some movement to the body so that it could go a bit left, right, up and down. I even added physics to the wings, necklace, and yes, the booba physics. Had to do it. Though she looks so cute. And here's how I made my first VTuber model. It's not perfect, but I'm super happy with how it turned out. Would I do things differently next time? Absolutely. Now I know how to solve the problems that come along the way and how to prevent a lot of issues from happening. Even my experiments taught me a lot. But since this is my first attempt, I think I did pretty well. And I'm not going to just stop here. I will make this model into a full body model with the wings moving and so much more in the future updates. And you will be seeing a lot more of my VTuber model in all my live streams and my upcoming YouTube videos. If you're making your first VTuber model, my advice just start. You'll learn so much along the way.